For me, the only one that really taps me out is the deadlift. So for deadlifting, maybe once heavy, maybe every week, 2 weeks, couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like for me, I
I
can
was the same.
squat. I can squat way more often. Like I can squat heavy 2, 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Deadlifting more than once a week to me is like
I was the same.
fucking destroys me.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because the weight is out in front of you so far that you're putting a tremendous strain on your low back. With squatting, I never had to worry about that because in the off season I didn't have the weight out in front of me like most lifters have the weight on their shoulders like that. No, mine was with a safety squat bar, and the bottom of the bar would torque forward,
Yeah.
so that it was in the midline of my body, and I had no strain on my low back or on my knees or anything.
I don't know if you listeners know, but Dr. Squat invented the safety squat bar, and actually, I'll tell you a little bit of history. George had one of your original safety squat bars, and when he passed away, I hit up his widow trying to buy all of his old equipment, and she lied to me and told me that she had thrown it all away, which she had, and she actually sold it to somebody else,
Yeah.
who contacted me about a year ago, said he had it, and I've been meaning to go up and try to steal it from him. But there was an old gym in Costa Mesa called Metrics. You remember?
Oh yeah, metrics. Sure.
Yeah, Scott Connolly's
I
gym.
did some work for them.
So they had one of your original safety squat bars in there. So I went in there and joined the gym because they had the bar, and then I walked in one day, and they had sold the gym to some, the 12, some like basically this like real bad kind of boot campy CrossFit kind of gym, and they were getting rid of all the equipment. And I went in there and I was like, "Hey, what are you gonna do with that old safety squat bar?" And the guy goes, "It's outside in the trash." And so I went out and I recovered it. And we have that in our gym, and when people come in, like I'm like, dude, this is. They don't realize. I'm like this. One, they don't make them like this anymore, and two, for me, I remember squatting on it as a kid, but this one I think is black, whereas the one I think George had was like a red, almost like looked like the interior of like a '60s Cadillac.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like a red kind of velour thing,
Yeah.
or like like plastic. So no, but for those of you guys, and everybody's gone off to since rip it off. But so how. What was the rotation of safety squat versus just a straight bar? Did you do all like your heavy weights with the straight bar and then all your assistance work with the safety
I
squat?
never used a straight bar off season at all
Wow.
in the last 8 years of my competition. And I didn't invent the safety squat bar.
Oh, fuck! I didn't know that.
It was invented by a guy by the name of, forgot his name. Oh my goodness. He's a Jehovah Witness preacher from New Jersey. Never lifted a weight in his life.
Then
He showed up at a fitness fair with that bar, and I said, "What the hell is that?" So he said, "I wanted to try it." So I did. I fell in love with it instantly.
Sure.
And so I got to be close friends with him. I think he's dead now. It's been quite a while. But so I asked him, "Hey, you looking for somebody to endorse it? I have a pretty good name out there. People might." And it ended up being called the Hatfield bar.
yeah,
And, but that was my affiliation with the bar, and it wasn't me that invented it.
Well,
I popularized it.
we used to do the Hatfield squats where we held on to the we used to have handles on the
Handles
racks
out here, yeah.
And then we got into this idea of basically being able to put your hands on the bar, like do a free squat with it, and then we got to the point where it
I
was
think
like
that's a bad idea. I don't like my hands here because what happens is
You pull
almost
yourself
invariably
down.
you pull yourself forward. So I keep my hands here to keep myself perfectly upright. If I have to spot myself, I can.
sure.
I'm not worried about spotting myself. It's not cheating. I'm only in workout here. I'm not in a competition.
Sure.
So, but by having my hands on the uprights, I'm able to completely control my angle of pitch, so that I'm always perfectly straight up and down. And then your glutes and your hams and everything gets much more targeted overload, and it's not dissipated in the low back region.
What's the heaviest you ever handled on the safety squat?
1,200 pounds, give or take, per set of 5.
That's like the mic drop moment. It's like set of 5. All right, so you handled 1,200. Do you think that because
I was helping myself. a
Well,
little
yeah.
bit.
So probably let's say 11.99, worth of work. But do you think that the safety squat, the one thing that I always noticed on the safety squat was I actually noticed more development in my traps. and like my upper neck and the yoke and like that part. That's why I always really liked it. Was not only squatting with it, but I just noticed it for like the upper body strength. I'd seem to develop, and I always wondered if like that, like kind of like the analogy once we thought about was like a horse getting yoked up with like being able to put that.
That's what it's like a horse getting yoked up. And furthermore, when you have the bar, a 1-inch bar, sitting on your 7th cervical vertebra, you don't know the damage that's doing back there. I've watched plenty of guys cripple themselves from breaking their own neck. I mean, literally, I think I've seen it happen about 4 or 5 times over the years.
Yeah, people just going down and just...
Yeah. Now, the other thing is when you have a nice cushy harness, yoke, as it were, you're not worried about anything, and you're able to put all of your thoughts and all of your mind and all of your energy into pushing against the bottom of that bar. You're not worried about anything anymore. So it takes away the worry element, takes away the pain element, takes away the all of the negative parts of squatting, and makes it a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Do you think people suffer from fear in the squat?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's probably the biggest problem people squatting is that they're afraid of the bar.
Are they afraid of the pain, or are they just afraid that it's going to fucking staple them and they're going to shatter into a million pieces at the bottom?
They're afraid they're going to get hurt. Yeah.
So I mean, do you really think you can effectively lift weights if you have fear of the weights? You really can't, can you? I mean, I don't think I could have gone out and played in the football if I had been fearful of what was going to happen to me.
Let's put it this way. If you're afraid of lifting a weight, it's because you've never done it. Once you've conquered your fear and made the weight, you're not going to be afraid of that weight anymore, but your fear has moved forward a little bit to another level. So that's what you got to, it's the only way you can handle it, then handle it that way. Just sneak up on it.
The sneak attack.
I like the sneaking attack. It's like the Wile E. Coyote, you know, like,
I know.
don't want to wake up the bar. So when did you find like for like bench press or deadlift, did you find anything that was kind of safety bar like similar, like you find the safety?
Yes. They call it the trap bar. It's like a circle.
Oh yeah.
And you get inside and you deadlift, so the bar is being pulled up straight up the midline of your body instead of out in front of you. It's the out in front thing that I object to in training. Even though you have to do that in a competition because you're using a straight bar, you don't have to suffer the indignation of low back injury during training. Everything that you do in training is for safety, while at the same time completely challenging your whole nervous system, your muscular system. You got to challenge it beyond what is normally used to being challenged every single time you work out, but not to the point of hurting yourself. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm a big believer in the trap bar, and I'll tell you something else. That's for deadlifting. For benching, I have another revelation for you. What is it about benching that's so dangerous? I'll tell you what it is. Here you have, let's say, 500 pounds in your hands, and your scapulae are pinned to the bench behind you. So you lower the weight down, and your scapulae can't move because they're pinned.
Sure.
So all of the stress is being borne by the anterior deltoids and the bicep head, the long head of the bicep,
Yep.
and you're getting strained, and you end up tearing a bicep or you end up tearing a pec. The easiest thing to do, and I did it because I built equipment years ago. It's called sports strength equipment. I had a bench with 2 pads underneath my scapula that moved in and out like this against the spring, so that I never got impingement of my scapulae from the weight being heavy. And my regular bench, my best bench was about 550 pounds, and I did 600 pounds with the scap pad.
Wow.
Just by freeing up the movement. And it didn't hurt.
Wow.
I never could figure out, never could understand why that scap pad bench didn't take off, because it was such a beautiful thing.
So what was it? It was actually like, let's say there was a bench, and then obviously the pieces move this way?
Yeah, 9 inches or 10 inches, all right? And here's the bench right here, and the scap pad was here, and the scap pad was right here, and they moved in and out like that. And
So as you brought the weight down, and the scaps
scap would come together.
Yeah, would come together.
And then as I pushed it, the scapulae were free to move back out. They weren't getting pinned. anymore.
Wow, that's pretty good. No, I
It
never
was
heard
so
of that.
simple.
That no, so simple even a caveman could do it, huh?